All right, let's get into why we got you here, boss. UFC this weekend, another pay-per-view in Singapore. Though the times are not going to change, it's still going to be a 1 a.m. main event for us here in the East Coast. Thoughts on this card?
I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah, hell yeah. Bro, you got the top of the card is absolutely
Stacked,
insane.
yeah.
Weili Joanna is like fight of the decade. Like that fight was bananas. You were there for that.
Boy was there, yes, sir.
Yeah. So do you feel like any extra juice like seeing it ran back?
Yeah, I actually recently just watched it.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a rematch, fight week, it's one of the things that I try to watch.
I wanted to do that before the podcast, but I didn't get a chance. So I'm definitely gonna watch it maybe tonight or tomorrow night when I'm at work.
And my favorite thing about rewatching them, bro, is after all the smoke, after all the hype behind it, couple of years, couple months, you look at it from a different lens, bro. Like, truthfully, I rewatched that fight. I think 4-1 Weili.
Really?
Yeah, man.
I got to rewatch because I had a Joanna ticket and I was mad by it. I was like, I think Joanna won that.
I had no money on that one. I had no money.
That's also why it's good to rewatch it, too, because sometimes you watch the fight with a blurry vision of,
yo,
I'm backing this fighter.
Or if you're,
I think they're, you just think like, oh, she won, she got the better of that exchange, where maybe she didn't,
Dude, I felt that way about Nate Conner, too. After all the hype, and like, I wasn't as big as a Diaz fan as I am now. At the time, I was like, yo, Conor got this one. Conor won that one. When you step back and you watch, you're like, I don't know, man. Nate, the volume and constant pressure. Like, Conor stunned him more times. Like, it's one of those questions like, is my one big hit to you equivalent to the 10 times you pieced me up too?
Right.
Because Nate isn't a knockout artist. So that was something that jumped out to me, man, with Weili.
Yeah.
I felt like she actually won that rather convincingly because that's been a pretty polarizing conversation as to like who won that fight.
Right.
And it was a hell of a scrap.
Oh, hell yeah. And it's weird now, too, because like Joanna, they faced off the other day, yesterday, 2 days ago. And Joanna wasn't like in her face, like kind of more respectful. Whereas you don't really see that from Joanna. The boogie woman. That's what she said when she fought Rose. So she's been humbled, obviously. She hasn't had the best go of it in the last few years. But
I think she's on like a 4-fight losing streak, isn't she?
She might be.
She lost twice to Rose, then she fought Valentina.
Yeah.
And then Weili.
I saw that. I was there for the Valentina fight in Toronto. That fight was great. That was a good fight, too. But it was just not her weight class. And like Valentina was a 35er coming down to 25.
Yeah, that's true.
A 15er. But no, she beat Michelle Waterson.
Oh,
in
okay.
between, and Tisha Torres, she fought.
Really?
Yeah, I think those were both main events. I remember I bet her against Waterson. She was like minus 200.
She's fought since Weili, right? Or no?
Hasn't fought since the
She
last
hasn't.
Weili fought
Yeah.
fight. No.
So how do you feel about that, bro? Just an overall question for when a fighter is active, like Weili has been since that fight.
It goes like back to what you just talked about, like rest or us, right? Kinda. It's like, what do you prefer? I don't know, man. Like Weili hasn't been all that active either since that fight, right? She fought the 2 title fights.
Yeah, well, and one of them ended in a minute.
Right. And then she lost the 5-rounder, and we saw that one in MSG. Yeah, so, I mean, she hasn't really gotten much reps either. It's been, 2 years since that fight? 2+ years now?
March 2020.
Yeah. Right before, that was the last event before
Pretty
COVID.
much, yeah.
Yeah, or last pay-per-view anyway.
Dude, I remember being on the plane there and like 3 people had a mask.
Yeah, me too.
And then after that, like
I
that's
was in Texas that weekend.
That same week, shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
It was my birthday week.
Yep.
Rudy Gobert.
Yeah. But yeah, that fight's amazing. I think the flyweight title fight. Do you have the odds on that? Because you're like, yo, Valentina, no shot next. When we were talking about gambling, because we always talk about Valentina fights, how she's the most dominant champion. Or you said, I know you. That's like your
Valentina Shevchenko.
She might be. I kind of probably have to agree with that.
Now it also has to do with her competition, right? Would you say that, or is it?
I don't know. I mean, she's fighting the best of her division. Like, what can you?
Sure.
She's fought Amanda Nunes twice. Like, she's done it all. She's fought Joanna.
The collection of, if you take the average fight of all the champions in the UFC, like any reign that they've been on, and you take the odds of each opponent, she's the biggest favorite of all the champions. So basically, she's always the biggest favorite against any opponent that she has, and this includes Nunes, the run that Ronda Rousey was on, John Jones. You're talking about like no one's a bigger favorite. Habib, no one's a bigger favorite in her fights than Valentina Shevchenko.
Okay,
and
but
this weekend, per win bet, minus 625.
But you're talking about her competition. Why can't that just be like?
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
Prop to her.
Is
She's just that good.
What would you say it is if you had to pick?
I think she's just that good. And the flyweight's like a relatively new division,
which was made for her
in the UFC. Yeah, because she lost twice to Amanda Nunes. But yeah, like I mean, there's some good, decent flyweights. I think Talia Santos presents the best threat to beat her. Like I would pick Talia Santos to beat her. Of like all the flyweights on the roster, I think she has the best chance to beat her.
The thing that bothers me about Valentina Shevchenko, and she might be my favorite women's fighter of all time. Honestly, bro, she might be one of my favorite fighters ever. I think she definitely is. Like
she's so goddamn entertaining, bro.
But yo, do you feel like she plays with her food a little too much? I feel like there's times where she could put people away and she doesn't. Like that eventually might come back to hurt her. I don't know if it's gonna happen this fight, but I feel like there's times like remember against Andrade, everyone was like, "Yo, she's gonna be able to wrestle her." Andrade is gonna, and then like Valentina wrestles her. And then there's times where like the Jennifer Maia fight
where she lost a round and
people
crazy.
Were like,
it was like 1-1, right? Yeah. And the odds were like, "Oh my god, did we get this wrong?" It's like, relax.
Yeah, she ended up being still like a minus 250 favorite going into round 3.
Yeah.
I wish we had live betting there at that time. In-game GOAT over there.
Love the in-games,
but
especially in MMA.
I feel like Valentina, it's gonna come back to haunt her at some point. I don't know if it's this fight though.
Yeah, even the Liz Carmouche fight, like they were like, "Oh my god, she went 5 rounds with Liz Carmouche. That's crazy." But no, I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think she plays with her food too much. Also, like, yo, it's never a bad. Like she's dominating. It's not like she's losing fights or in danger of losing the fight at any moment. For the most part, I mean, she was under Maya for I think most of that round.
Yeah,
wasn't really much danger. But I mean, getting ring time or time in the ring I don't think that's ever a bad thing. Experience for someone like her. Like, what if she just gets her one out of there in the first round?
Yeah.
Then like questions pop up. Yo, does she have the cardio to go 5? Is she a true champion? I mean, yeah, she went to a decision with Joanna, with Amanda, and those girls. But those are all. Well, she fought Joanna at 25, but Joanna's not a 25er. So I'm saying like then those questions pop up, and it's like we already know now. Those questions don't pop up because we know the answers. Like she's solidified, bro. She's like easily the fly. I mean, you throw GOAT around every 2 seconds, but she's the flyweight GOAT for sure.
With a win on Saturday, she passes Ronda Rousey for most title defenses.
That's
for women's MMA.
I mean, you're in company with Ronda Rousey in women's MMA. Is that a bad thing? Like that's probably like the highest honor right now.
And now I feel like when Nunes losing, she's like the standard.
That's the thing about odds. Like, and what was Juliana Pena above 500?
Yeah, plus 600.
600. So it's like, yeah, the odds.
You know, I got to speak to...
My bad, but took Amanda Nunes into deep waters.
Yeah.
And she drowned.
It's funny.
She tapped without even hooking on a rear naked choke.
Yeah.
For a champion, for a championship level fighter, that's kind of unheard of. She was just that tired.
Yeah, she was gassed, bro. She was gassed. When I was doing the pod with Will, Upsets and Underdogs, we spoke to GSP. One of the coolest shits like I've ever done in
badass
podcasting. Like, yo, I didn't even ask him a question. I was just like, yo, thank you. I was like, yo, I know this is frowned upon that you're not supposed to like thank people. And
it's like the third wall. What do they call it in wrestling?
It's the fourth wall.
The fourth wall.
I was like, yo, bro, you're the one that got me into UFC and all that. I was like, your fight against Hardy, and he's like, thank you, my man, and all that. But something that he said, it was previewing the Pena Nunes fight, and he's like, yo, because Will asked him, it's not if, it's how she's gonna win. He's like, yo, be careful.
Oh yeah,
he's like, just be careful. He's like, look, I'm picking Nunes, but be careful when you feel like you're untouchable and you're on top of the world, and everyone's blowing smoke up your ass, and they're telling you that you're the shit. They're coming after your spot, number one, and number two, that's when they get complacent. And GSP said the night I slept the most comfortable in my career was against Matt Serra. He's like, and I got slept. So he's like, I slept comfortably after that fight. And it's like, yo, is that something that we need to be cautious about with Valentina?
Right.
Because everyone is saying that she's so dominant and what's she going to do and do you fight Nunes again? Like, that was prior to the Pena fight. It was,
everyone's talking about what's
do it
next.
again. Yeah, let's do it again. Them two. It'd be the biggest fight. That could actually headline a pay-per-view. Like, people will be behind that.
Dana was talking about that, too.
So, it's weird, man. What makes you like Santos, though?
I just love her striking. Like, I just feel like she's very well-rounded. She could grapple, too. I just think she's long and she's big. Like, she's big for 25.
She looks like
twice the size of Valentina yesterday when they faced off. So I just think like, and just looking at the 25 roster, like everyone's fought her at the top. So obviously it's easy to say, yeah, Santos is the best shot. No shit, she's next. But if there's ever a time, bro, I think it's her. Because now, like, if Valentina wins, she's probably cleaned out like the top 5, top 6. So it's like, what's next after this? Is it a move up to 35 again and fight for the title and become double champ? I mean, the route's there now that Julia Pena is champion. It's a new look. It's not Amanda Nunes. We saw that fight 2 times already. I don't know. I mean, they're going to run it back anyway, Pena and Nunes. So we'll see what happens there. That's like at the end of the month. I mean, end of July. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. It's coming up.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of good things happening in women's MMA for sure. And these 2 fights, like being at the top of the card and like everyone being hyped about it, I think speaks volumes about how far women's MMA has come.
Oh yeah.
Because we'll joke around sometimes. We'll be like, oh, it's low level women's MMA. It'll be like the first fight on the card. Like we don't know anything about these girls, so like we'll never bet on. That's like a running joke. Like, yo, I'm not putting money on a low level women's MMA fight that we both know. None of the fighters, or they have like one fight in the UFC, so we don't really know much about them.
Yeah,
but everyone knows these 4 girls.
Yeah, we do that with the guys too. Like 2 debut fighters are like, yo, I'm not
low level.
This guy's plus 400. Might as well. They're both making their debut. Like crazier shit has happened.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, these 4, like everyone knows them.
Exactly, and they're like the 4. I mean, not Talia Santos so much, but the other 3 are like household names in MMA. Forget women's MMA.
Yeah. Last time you called the upset though with Esparza. Are you going with that again? Can you establish the difference between picking and betting someone that's an underdog like this?
So in this fight, like talking about this fight,
but in general too. Like there's been times where we've bet on the underdog because we feel like the line is wrong.
Right.
Like Gilbert Burns against Chimaev. I threw a little bit on Burns. I ended up losing, but he shouldn't have been a plus 525 underdog.
Peter Yan versus Sterling. Like how dominant that first fight was for Peter Yan, and it went to it went to a disqualification.
Right.
And everyone's like, oh, when they fight again, we're not going to get the same line on Yan. I think it was like minus 180 the first time. I forgot what he was the second time. It's probably like minus 250.
It's more than that, bro. He's like minus
330 or something.
All 3, not Chimaev wasn't a champion, but Volkanovski, Yan, and Chimaev were all like minus 500 or more in those fights.
So it's like, that's when you lose. Like when you see something like that, betting and picking, like, all right, I'm gonna bet Aljo here because like, yo, he got smoked the first fight, but he had moments like 1 round in the second round, he got tired. All right, whatever. I didn't bet Aljo, but I wouldn't have hated it if you told me or if someone told me that, like, yo, I'm on Aljo. I would be like, yo, how? That's crazy. Like, just give me your money, you know? I'm like, all right, like decent size underdog, a championship fight. He won a round the first fight. Who knows? Crazier things have happened. Same thing with the Santos fight. Like, I personally believe that she's the better, like one of the better flyweights. So if you're gonna give me long shot odds, I'm gonna bet her to win. Will it happen? I'd say it won't, but if it does happen, like fuck it, I'll make some extra money. And I say this to you all the time, like yo, I've won my share of bets and I've lost my share of bets. So if I lose another bet, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Would you? She's plus 17. She's 17-1 to win by knockout, 14-1 to win by submission. Talia Santos as opposed to being a plus 450 underdog. Like,
yo, enough.
I don't think she could win a decision, bro.
Bro, 450. What more?
It's the mistake I made.
Your problem. You get greedy.
Cara France.
4.5 to 1 isn't enough for you.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, I'm joking around, but I would just take the 4.5 to 1. It's hard, man. MMA, like sometimes you get too cute for your own good. Like both, like how many times have we been there with? I mean, like, why'd I do this? I got cheap. Like I'm trying to make an extra dollar with a better line like that. Yeah, I mean those are drastic differences in lines, but I'd probably just take the 405 personally.